morning, guys. Pretzelman945 here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do part one of most likely multi-part thing of an updated version of my top 20 favorite movies. So without further ado, let us get into it. Number 20 is Avatar. Um, and this has always been a personal favorite movie of mine, but I never knew exactly quite where to rank it necessarily, but I feel like this is a good place for it. Um, I love Avatar because I think that it introduces such a captivating world of Pandora that you want to know more about. Um, and the visuals are amazing in this film. Like the cinematography, everything involving that is really, really good. The music by James Horner is also absolutely fantastic. The acting by the main actor. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up real quick because I don't know what his name is. Played by Sam Worthington. That's his name. Um, and Zoe Saldana, who is my favorite actress. Um, just like solid performances given all around in this movie. And what the plot progresses at a very, very nice pace. And um, while the premise of the movie is yes generic and overdone, I don't really care because like it has nice visuals, nice music, and good acting. So, that is enough. Um, and also the final act is really epic in this movie, like undeservedly so, I feel like. Um, so yeah, just all around great movie. Um, that's why it's on this list. At number 19 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, my second favorite comedy. Um, and the second one on this list. Um, So, pure and simple, this movie is just so funny. Um, I mean, there really isn't much more to say about it. Is just purely such an utterly hilarious movie. Um, that I never ever get tired of rewatching, ever. Excuse me. Um, that's pretty much about it on that one. Number 18. I will say, certain aspects of this list have changed drastically since I last made this. Um, Number 18 is Revenge of the Sith. My opinion on this has drastically improved. I never was bad on this film. I've always liked it. Like, I finally realized actually, again, like how actually freaking good it is. Um, because every single actor, like actually brings their A game to these performances, unlike the previous two movies where they were just extremely lackluster, not very boring to watch, and also cringeworthy, um, because Attack of the Clones sucks. It's one of the worst movies of all time. Um, And like there is so much emotion behind every single confrontation in this film. Whether it's like humor and cleverness behind General Grievous versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and like the 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 like sadness of like two friends facing up against each other, and or Yoda and Palpatine, which is just like this epic confrontation, like this last stand of like good versus evil. There is so much emotion in every single like confrontation and like relationship development in within this film. Um, I feel like that Anakin's turning to the dark side is actually very justified and happens actually at a reasonable pace. Um, which might be different from some other uh reviews of this movie, but that's just my opinion. Um, the lightsaber action is also really good, and the CG use is much more controlled this time around. But there's still enough of it to be like high action and intense. And then Order 66, and man, what a powerful scene by itself. Um, so yeah, this is just all around a fantastic Star Wars movie and just a fantastic movie, period. At number 17 is Fellowship of the Ring. Um, Fellowship of the Ring by itself has a very daunting task because the world of Lord of the Rings is very huge and it needs to condense that down in a way that it makes it possible for viewers to understand and still be engaged in what they're watching. And let me tell you, it really freaking does that. It does that very well with just an 8-minute introduction sequence to the lore. Um, which, like, the way that they introduce the world in this whole movie is done so extremely well, considering the very daunting task that this movie is presented with. It also develops every single one of the races in their own creative ways, such as hobbits, the race of men, elves, dwarves, orcs, all of them. It develops them in interesting ways, um and the character chemistry is just like off the charts great. They're constantly like bouncing off each other for funny dialogue, whether it's like the four hobbits or the hobbits and Aragorn or the entire fellowship traveling. Um, they manage to like complement each other really well. And then Gandalf and the wizards are also really good. Saruman's betrayal is a very dramatic scene that comes literally out of left field. Like if you don't know Lord of the Rings, you wouldn't be expecting it at all. Um, the one negative I have to say is Saruman and Gandalf's wizard fight is really goofy, and to be honest, I feel like it's the one part of the fighting in any of these movies that really does not hold up, like 20 plus years later. Um, so, but beyond that, like all of the action in this movie is amazing. Like the costume design and the sets and the production design, like all that is just like cinematography, all that's just like absolute top tier quality. And the music, of course, is absolutely incredible. Um, at number 16 is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, undisputably the best comedy of all time. Undisputably. Um, Again, there really isn't a whole lot to say about this. It's just like it's so goofy and it has so many tiny little nuances to the jokes that like it just makes you laugh even harder every single little detail that you realize that you missed and then is actually in the movie. I feel like every single time I rewatch this movie, I notice a new little detail that I didn't notice before. Um, and I've seen it over probably like 10 to 15 times at this point total. Not over that, but just like total 10 to 15 times. Um, and every time I notice something new that just makes me crack up. Um, yeah, this movie is just so funny, and I absolutely adore it. Um, at number 15, and probably the newest addition on this list in terms of like like big like change to like newest movie coming in here is The Dark Knight. Um, I am not a DC guy. I just I don't I don't like it very much. I don't think I just think Marvel is superior in every way. This movie is the one exception. This movie is like absolutely masterful. That is the best word I can use to describe. It's masterful. Because like every single character has this like seriousness to them that is just done is just displayed so well by absolutely fantastic acting by every single character. And Heath Ledger's Joker is honestly as legendary as he is claimed to be in terms of a villain status. Um, and and definitely is among the best villains of all time. Certainly, he definitely has a place up there. Um, his performance is legendary, and the joke, and um, like the and how he actually ends up like succeeding in a way because he like turns like it literally says the best of us bad because he turns like Harvey. Is that his name? Harvey or something like that? I forget his exact name. But the like the new dude who um wants to like find Batman, like stomp out all the crime. He ends up becoming Two-Face. So like he Joker literally ends up succeeding, which I think is fascinating. And all the action in this movie is also really, really good. Christopher Nolan is such a good movie director, and the music is also great, done by Hans Zimmer. Very good score. Um, yeah, just every aspect about this movie is like masterfully made, from like the sudden plot twist to like the meaningful payoff that every character has in the movie. Um, So yeah, this movie is just masterfully made. I love it. Um, at number 14 is Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. So I realize this particular entry is a bit different, and to be honest, I kind of almost feel like all three of these movies are semi-equal. Like it's just by bare slivers that I think this one is better than two and one. Um, Four and five, well, four was a cash grab and five was forgettable. But like this first three, it's like the golden, like Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, honestly. Like, forget the other trash. Like, these threes are the good ones. And what I think I like the most about At World's End is the fact that, while Davy Jones is not introduced in this movie, I feel like he does have the best scenes in this movie. Um, Davy Jones is honestly like one of my favorite movie villains. He has such a dark past, and there's so many nuances to his rage and hatred toward Calypso, and um, his theme is so like sad and depressing, and then also like can be epic and like angry at the same time, which I think is so well composed. Um, and just a huge plus to the music in this movie as well. Um, and um, and finding out what actually happened to Will's dad is fascinating, like super intriguing. Um, like to learn the backstory behind that, and um, of course, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow is iconic in this movie as well as the first two. Um, and the reason I like this one the best is just because, like, you know, out of nowhere we have Captain Barbossa back, just from the dead, leading the pirate camp. He's awesome to see again. So that is a little bit of a bonus in this movie fair because I love Barbossa. Um, but also like I feel like this movie has the most enjoyable action. Not that the other two movies don't, but the second one is a little bit more on the emotions based side, whereas this one kind of has, I feel like, a slightly better mix of like gripping emotional scenes and then like action scenes, and it like meshes together just a tiny bit better than the second one, which I think is probably the main reason that I like it better. But yeah, all three of the first one is iconic. It's a classic, and then the second and third ones are underrated masterpieces in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I love all of them except for one five. So um, at number 13 is The Two Towers. Um, Now The Two Towers is um it's also faced with a semi-daunting task because it has to monumental task of like following up Lord of the Rings, and I think it also does that in an incredible way, honestly. Because it manages to like scale everything up while introducing new elements, but also developing what's already there in incredibly like captivating ways that still makes sense to the plot. I love the Ents. The Ents are amazing and a great new introduction to this movie, and I love the journey that Merry and Pippin take with them. Saruman in this movie is even more epic than the first one, and he's just like completely at the top of his game, like just releasing Urukai everywhere, and just like being epic villain dude. Um, And then Frodo and Sam's struggle is like Gollum is one of the best movie characters of all time. Accidentally forgot about that. Gollum was in this movie. Um Gollum is such a masterfully written character and performed so excellently by Andy Serkis. Like absolutely revolutionary in terms of like CG motion capture performances. Like his character and the arc that he goes on, like trying to diminish his outer self and then like eventually just succumbing to like his old bad ways. It's such a wonderfully written like journey that's like ultimately extremely tragic. Um, of his character, and from then on, he's just a villain for them primarily. Um, but like to see those brief moments where he actually like gets rid of his other self, only to succumb to it once again. It's devastatingly and tragically powerful. Um, Theoden and the introduction of Rohan is also very entertaining and very intriguing to see all the horses and stuff like that. It's a very cool like thing, and the trio dynamic between Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli is played off for jokes, but also like their group dynamic just works really well in a satisfying way. And then, of course, the big baddie of this movie, one of the best final acts of any movie, is the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's just so long and like that's definitely within its favor because it just manages to like have so many epic twists and turns to like lows and highs again, no matter how large or little they are, um, until eventually they manage to win. And just the entire thing is paced wonderfully and has just the right amount of like brevity, but also like moments of like emotional like development and and um and just emotions and negative emotions period that really flesh it out and make it so it's not just a super elongated battle scene, and it just hits that mix like perfectly, which is honestly what makes it such a good final act. And overall, this movie does such a fantastic job of continuing as the second installment of Lord of the Rings franchise. At number 12 is The Last Jedi. This is my second favorite Star Wars film. I'm sure you can guess what number one is. It's going to be in the top 10. Um, this movie, like, um, so I feel like to start with this, I really want to talk about Luke's arc because I think it is easily the best thing about this movie. Um, like the way that he shuts himself off from the Force, it's a way that makes sense and you understand it, and like the movie really allows for Luke to like explore his emotions by doing this, and in the process of while he's training Ray, which he reluctantly allows to do, he realizes that like he's not completely closed off from the Force, and like he's basically meant forced to face his guilt about it, which ultimately culminates in the Sacred Gigantic scene, best movie scene of all time, in my opinion, by the way. Um, where we are what we grow beyond, which is literally what Yoda says. It's like the entire moral of the movie. Um, you are better than your mistakes. You can be better than your mistakes. Um, and that message is just very powerful. And like the greatest teacher failure is like one of the best movie quotes of all time, period. Um, and then Ray's character, I feel like, is also really good in this movie. She gains a lot of development in very like dark and intriguing ways that I wish were explored more, but that's just the fault of the entire sequel trilogy, not necessarily this movie. Um, Obviously, the one big negative, I'm just going to get out of the way, is Canto Bite. It sucks. It's should not have been in the movie at all. It's a complete and utter waste of time and movie budget. And same thing with um Rose's character period. Like when I say this, Kelly Marie Tran is not a bad actor, but I really feel like Rose should never have been a character at all within this movie because she serves next to no purpose in this movie at all. And is just completely discarded by the Skywalker. Um, and like their romance is just like awful, and like why does and like the way that Finn, that Rose stops Finn before like smashing the thing, that would have been like the ultimate like character developmental sacrifice for Finn, is to like finally destroy the First Order like that by just like ramming into the cannon. But no, he had because like my name was like what, like something about saving people with love or something. Some yes like that like but the battle of Traitor is very very big, has a lot of great scenery, and then like with Luke showing up and and Million Falcons is like destroying everything. It's awesome. It's a great final act of the movie. It has a lot of um emotion to it. um um so yeah. um The music in this movie is also fantastic, of course, because it's John Williams. Um, Next major thing I want to touch on, Kylo Ren and Snoke in this movie. Kylo Ren gets a lot of character development in this film because in this movie he actually like learns to move beyond like his constraints by like killing Snoke and like realizing that he can be more than his mask. Like he has to like shed his constraints literally to like become more powerful and be like the supreme leader of First Order. And um and like this the scene where he kills Snoke is also just really, really good because like the way that him and Ray function in this film is such a unique mechanic. Um, and like that Snoke was the one that bonded them together through the Force. I thought that was very, very interesting. And of course, it's a dyad in the Force mechanic that's played on very well in Rise of Skywalker. One of the big positives I can give that very average movie. Um, So yeah, there's just there's so much minus Canterbury and Rose. There's so much good stuff in this movie, like so much writing quality and epic scenes and epic character development. All that together just makes it such an absolutely fantastic movie. I'm going to cut it there for part one. That was 20 to 12. So in the next part, we'll see if I can get the rest of them, or if it will be a three-part, just like when I first made this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.